Once upon a time, in a quaint little town nestled between rolling hills, there lived a woman named Mrs. Amelia Harper. She was not your typical housewife. With her raven-black hair cascading like a waterfall down her back and eyes as deep and mysterious as the night sky, she possessed an air of enchantment that set her apart. Mrs. Harper lived in a charming cottage at the edge of town, surrounded by a garden that bloomed with a riot of colors all year round. Her home, adorned with lace curtains and fragrant roses, was the epitome of coziness. People often wondered how she managed to maintain such a serene and enchanting atmosphere. You see, Mrs. Harper had a secret, a magical secret that was known to only a select few. She could hear the whispers of the midnight breeze, the secrets of the moon, and the dreams of the stars. Every night, after her husband, Mr. Samuel Harper, and her 3 children had fallen asleep, Mrs. Harper would venture into the garden, where the real magic of her life began. One warm summer night, as the clock struck midnight, Mrs. Harper tiptoed into her garden. The moon was full, casting a silver glow over the blooming flowers. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, inhaling the sweet fragrance of the roses. "Tell me your secrets," she whispered to the night. The wind, always willing to share its secrets with her, began to murmur. It spoke of ancient tales, of love lost and found, of adventures in far-off lands, and of dreams that had come true. Mrs. Harper listened intently, her heart dancing to the rhythm of the wind's words. As she walked deeper into her garden, Mrs. Harper noticed a shimmering pond that glistened in the moonlight. The pond was no ordinary pond, it was a portal to another world. She stepped onto a small boat by the water's edge, and with a gentle push, she glided across the surface of the pond. On the other side, she found herself in a lush, enchanted forest. The trees seemed to whisper secrets to each other, and fireflies lit up the path ahead. Mrs. Harper followed the glow of the fireflies, deeper and deeper into the forest, until she reached a clearing bathed in the soft light of 1,000 stars. In the center of the clearing stood a magnificent oak tree, its branches reaching up to touch the heavens. Mrs. Harper approached the tree, and as she placed her hand on its rough bark, she heard a soft, melodic voice. "Welcome, dear friend," the tree said. "I have been waiting for you." Mrs. Harper smiled and asked, "What secrets do you hold, mighty oak?" The oak tree began to share its ancient wisdom, stories of the world's creation, of the balance of nature, and of the interconnectedness of all living things. Mrs. Harper listened, her heart expanding with every word. Night after night, Mrs. Harper visited the enchanted forest, seeking the wisdom of the oak tree and the stories of the wind. She learned to dance with the fireflies, sing with the nightingales, and even converse with the mischievous fairies who called the forest home. As the seasons changed, so did the stories that the elements shared with her. She learned about the magic of snowflakes, the secrets of spring blossoms, and the wisdom of autumn leaves. Mrs. Harper's garden flourished like never before, for she had learned the ancient language of nature. One chilly winter's night, as the snowflakes fell gently from the sky, Mrs. Harper ventured into the garden. She whispered to the snowflakes, and they responded by swirling around her, creating a beautiful dance of ice and light. In that moment, she felt a deep connection to the world around her, a connection that transcended time and space. As the years passed, Mrs. Harper's children grew and started families of their own, and her beloved husband, Mr. Samuel Harper, joined the stars in the night sky. But Mrs. Harper's heart remained full, for she knew that love was eternal, and the whispers of the midnight breeze and the secrets of the enchanted forest would always be with her. One clear summer night, when the moon was at its brightest, Mrs. Harper returned to the enchanted forest. The oak tree welcomed her with open branches, and the wind carried the sweet scent of her garden to the depths of the forest. "Thank you for sharing your wisdom with me all these years," Mrs. Harper said to the oak tree. The tree replied, "You have been a faithful friend to the night and the stars. Now, it is time for you to share the stories and the magic with others." Mrs. Harper nodded, and as she stood beneath the ancient oak, she made a wish. Her wish was simple but powerful, to share the enchantment of her garden and the magic of the midnight whispers with the world. And so, Mrs. Amelia Harper became known far and wide as the woman with the most enchanting garden. People from all corners of the earth came to visit her, to hear the stories of the wind, and to experience the wonder of her garden. But Mrs. Harper's true gift was not just the beauty of her garden or the stories of the elements, it was the reminder that magic and wonder are all around us if we take the time to listen, to feel, and to believe. And so, dear reader, the next time you find yourself in a quiet garden on a moonlit night, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and listen. You just might hear the whispers of the midnight breeze, the secrets of the moon, and the dreams of the stars. For as Mrs. Harper knew, the magic of the night is always there, waiting to be discovered by those who believe. The end.